like me, you are constantly looking for new ideas to get kids involved with your crafts. Creative ideas, things that they might find fun so that they can play along with you. And you can have everything ready for them to be successful at that craft that they're doing. Well, I've been seeing canvases ready to paint a lot recently in the craft stores. So I thought maybe we could do that in the laser. So today I'm going to show you how to make this, which is an engraved outline on a canvas so that your kids can really have fun making a piece of art that's their own, and you get to decide what goes on it. This is a really inexpensive craft as well when you get the canvases in bulk, and it doesn't take that long on the laser. This one took about 20 minutes, which I think is pretty quick to be able to get a craft ready for your kids. All right, so if playing with canvas sounds interesting to you, let's get into it. I'm Katie, and this is Things Katie Makes, where we talk all things lasers. If you're looking for more support, join the Facebook group that you'll find down in the comments. That's where we talk about real-time challenges or ideas about how to grow your business. So after I got curious about canvas, I started thinking about what were the other possibilities of things that I could do with canvas. I've seen a lot of people engrave painted slate or painted tiles, and I thought they're really just removing the paint. So what if we spray painted our canvas? So let me show you some of the results of that. So for this canvas, I spray painted the ombre paint, and then I engraved over that. So for that canvas, I spray painted in that ombre style, and then I just engraved over that. Now you will get sort of a dull color, so you may want to go over and paint that with a paint marker, a white paint marker. You could also then place masking tape over that before you engrave so that you have a really clean space to do that. But what a cool effect. For this project, I did different colors of spray paint layered, and then I engraved off the black spray paint to show just that hot pink underneath. This is also a very cool technique if you want to do something with a picture. Engraving an image works really well with this technique. And then the last project that I did is this flamingo. So for this project, I spray painted the entire background green, then I engraved the outlines of the flamingo, and I used it as basically a paint by number. Now, I am not someone who can really paint comfortably by hand. That is a struggle for me, but having this little outline made it so fun to do, and it was really relaxing, and I think it turned out really well. What do you think? So I'm not gonna go into detail on those spray paint projects this time, but just know that Canvas has a ton of possibilities. And really, those take a little bit more time to test out because you need to figure out what settings do you need to remove the paint from the canvas, especially if you're doing multiple layers, and how far down do you want to go? Do you want to actually engrave into the canvas, or are you just trying to remove the spray paint? If that's something that you'd like to know more about, let me know in the comments and I can do a video on that later. But for today's video, we're gonna talk about how do you figure out the settings for Canvas for your laser. Because I will show you in this example, I thought that my settings were right, but I cut right through that canvas. So it looked really nice and dark and pretty, and then I realized that I had cut right through my canvas. So the steps that you're gonna wanna take to make sure that you have a great result with your canvas is you really do want to sacrifice one canvas and make circles or whatever design you want, circles, squares, whatever shape you prefer, and really test out a different range of settings. I'm gonna give you settings for Nova 24 in the comments below, which is a 60 watt laser, but if you have a higher watt laser, you definitely will want to test your own settings because my comfort zone is 18 power and 800 speed, but that might not work for you. You may need to go lower in your power, even down to maybe 10 to make sure that you're not burning through that canvas. I'll also walk you through what you need to do in Lightburn to make sure that you get these nice little outlines. It's really just an offset feature, and I've talked about it before, but I thought a refresher might be useful. The first thing that I did is I found some really cute bunny illustrations in Creative Fabrica. I'll leave a link to that below, and brought those into Illustrator. I could have brought this directly into Lightburn software, but I preferred to do some of this work in Illustrator first. And I made these into a purple color in their outline because I know that that's the layer that I have my canvas settings on. So I brought in the bunnies, got them into this format, and then created the text and made sure that that was ready to be pasted as well. So I'm just going to grab those, Command C on my Mac to copy, and go into Lightburn, where I will paste them, and we will just replicate what you're seeing here on the screen. So right now those come in grouped. So I'm going to grab them, pick them up and move them down just so I can see what I'm doing. And I want to go ahead and ungroup all of this before I make the outlines. And then right now these guys are on this line layer. So we want to go ahead and move them to our outline layer, which is that purpley color. So it's number 9. So I'm going to select them, but you can see right now that's a fill because I don't have that offset. So what we need to achieve is these little outline offsets. That's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to undo that, Command Z on my Mac, and I am going to select my little bunnies, and I'm going to go from the bottom left to just grab them. If you go from the bottom left, anything that's touched will be included. If you go from the top right, you need to grab the entire thing. So when you have a red box, it grabs everything that's fully enclosed. When you have a green box, it grabs anything it touches. So we're going to go here and grab all of the bunnies, and we are going to go to our Offset Shapes tool from the Tools menu. Now we want to do this offset in both directions because I want this to make a nice outline around both sides. And I like a round corner style, but in some cases we might want to use a bevel. And I don't want this to be huge because I really am just using this as an outline to make sure that I can color in the lines. I don't really want it to be visible when I'm using the canvas. I want it to look like we just hand drew this on the canvas. We're going to delete the original objects because we don't need them anymore after we get that new outline. We're going to simplify our results, and we don't want to do outer shapes only. If we do outer shapes only, we're going to miss out on some of the pieces that I want to have on the insides and the outsides of the feet. So we can change that here. You'll see now I have 2 little sets of lines running around, and I can go ahead and move that to that 9, and now I have that nice offset. So you can see all of those lines are what will be engraved. Now I want to do that same thing for the words. So we're going to choose our offset shapes again. Now here's a great example of what happens if you choose those outer shapes only. You're going to get an interesting play on the letters. So let's show what that will look like. So you can see that I have that engraved area within those letters. We don't want that. So we want to go back and we want to make sure that we don't select outer shapes only so that we get that. And we will go ahead and do this. And now we have that great outline there as well. So now that's ready to send to the laser. If you haven't yet tested your settings, what you'll want to do is just make yourself a small circle, maybe 1 inch at most, so that you can see, and place that on different layers to change those settings. So here, this is 800 speed, 18 power. I could make another one to test out. We could try 800 speed, 15 power. And so you'll just want to play around with those different speeds and power to see what you get. I found that for this, I don't need a really tight interval because, again, I'm using this as a guideline. So my interval is at 0.1. And that's it. It's ready to send to the laser. All right, so here's our finished product. What do you think? I think it turned out great. I think it's such a great, easy project for kids. And actually for those of us who aren't really that great at drawing freehand. So I've been using it just for fun for myself, but also for the kiddos. And I think there's so many different applications you could do. If you're interested in some of those other techniques with the spray painting and engraving, let me know in the comments so that I can film a video about that. That's a little bit more complex, so I would want to go in a little more detail there. I hope you enjoyed this, and if it was helpful, let me know, and we'll see you in the next one.